Hello, Alan. We have recently moved to Florida from Illinois and have found our knowledge is zero when it comes to southern lawns. So, Michelle, welcome down from Illinois over by there. You guys know I had to do that. I got somebody calling in there from Illinois. They're probably from southern Illinois. They don't even have that accent. But anyway, I want to welcome you guys to Claremont over by there. So let's talk through this, y'all, because I feel like you're discouraged and I don't want you to be. And so what I'm going to do, because you pointed something out, is that you said, and again, this is Michelle that wrote in, so I'll just talk directly to Michelle, but it's Michelle and Bob here working on this together. Is Michelle, you said that your knowledge is zero. And that I don't think, though, that your knowledge is zero. We're going to talk through that. And I think that what we need to realize is that your strategy or your approach was just off. Let me say it that way. So let me kind of go through a little bit of thinking here. And I can tell you that you're not the only one that this happens to all the time. Because most people that live here, especially in this part of Florida, are not from here. They're all from up north. And I hear it all the time. They're like, wow, I didn't realize how difficult it was to deal with a lawn in Florida. Or I didn't understand how hard this was, or how much weed pressure there would be, or how much they don't know. And the reason that is because of the fact that winter really provides a reset for northern lawns. Winter kind of, how do I say, it can cover a multitude of problems. It can even sometimes suppress problems, kill problems, prevent problems. A really good winter, for example, will reduce the next year's grub populations, because grubs are able to overwinter. They do go deeper into the soil, but if you get an unseasonably hard, deep, frozen year, it will kill and reduce the grub populations. That's one example. The same thing can happen with weeds and weed seeds and things like that. Just as we've said, if you seed too late up north, what you do is you face the challenge that seeding too late, your grass plants won't be hardened off. They won't be mature enough to withstand the winter. Well, the same thing happens with weeds. Weeds that germinate late into the year can also be killed off by the winter. So that's one of the things that doesn't happen down here in the south, especially this far south, where it's 12 months a year. It's the exact opposite. Instead of a 6-month-a-year season like you have up north in Illinois, down here you have a 12-month season. It's doubly as long. That means weeds can grow longer, diseases can linger longer. There are more bugs that can live here because it's warmer, that there's no winter to kill them off. All of these things come into play. However, I don't want you to think that you have zero knowledge, because you don't, Michelle. What you have is experience. You know how to apply fertilizer. You know how to spray weed control. That's the same thing. Blanket spraying weed control on a northern lawn is the same as blanket spraying weed control on a southern lawn. It's just the chemical is different. The timing might be different. But other than that, the technique is the same. And also, if you understand what a half a pound of nitrogen means versus 3/4 pounds of nitrogen, that's the same that translates for cool and warm season too. If you understand how to flex your nutrient levels, that's the same. Soils can be different for sure, though, and that's another consideration. But I don't want you to think that your knowledge is zero. It's not. Your experience will always play. It's kind of interesting. I was talking to my friend Chris the other day, and we were talking about how I was saying, I never listened to my dad when I was a kid. And there's a lot of things I don't know. You guys know when it comes to using tools. I don't know how to use tools. I'm terrible at it. By the way, when you see the first time I tried to drive the zero turn, you will see that I have no instincts for driving large equipment. I don't. My dad, he was a fireman. He drove all kinds of large equipment. I never took advantage of his knowledge. But when Chris and I were talking, it wasn't necessarily the specific knowledge. My dad had a lot of specific driving knowledge with fire trucks and large equipment, and he knew how to tow trailers and things because of his fire experience. He knew how to use all kinds of things that firemen know, right? I don't even know. I didn't pay attention, so I don't really know everything he knew. But he translated that muscle memory, or that understanding of the way things work and the way things will operate. He translated that into other things to the point where he can drive anything. He can drive anything because he drove things that not many people knew how to drive, and he learned a muscle memory. That's the best way I can say it. And now he can drive anything. I hope that makes sense to you. And that's the same with you. You have an understanding of tending a lawn, and because you do, you can translate that muscle memory. Now you just need to get a little knowledge of what you're up against. So That's how I'm trying to get you to look at it. You have a lot of good learning curve already out of the way. Now it's the approach to it. Use what you've learned, though. Use your muscle memory to make you successful as you move forward. I need you to look at it in that way. I hope that's coming across. And if you look at it in that way, you'll have confidence, because one of the things that you definitely need to have with our grass types down here is confidence, because, for example, they're easily injured. We're going to talk about the alpha male of grass, the alpha grass that we have here, but I can tell you that our alpha grasses are also big babies, and they get injured very easily, but they also come back fast. So don't want to get too wrapped around the axle on that, but I just wanted to let you know that definitely, Michelle, you're not out there with zero knowledge. So now